Yeah.
Too loud. Like loud noises
going on.
Yeah. My tism starts screaming at me.
we need cup holders. These things need to have built-in cup holders.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't have them. So we're in. Hey, hello. Mike's back
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
for a minute.
Yeah. We'll play it day by day. See what the hell's going on in this world. See what the hell's going on in this world.
Yeah, it's just like I like to say, on assignment. Mike was on assignment.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
New kicks.
Yeah, I'm turning into a runner. I'm a hybrid athlete. My sister, I was born in Portland.
I was going to say, what were you hybridized
Yeah,
with?
not really running, but there's some now. I was born in Portland, and so my sister still lives up there, so she gets a lot of access to employee stores.
Uh-huh.
So everything's 50% off.
Yeah.
So I can't really complain. So she sent me some shoes for my early birthday, which is like, she sent them like 2 months early. But again, I'm not going to complain.
Well, how can you really?
Yeah. And running shoes are like, they're finally not just dad shoes. They're cool.
Yeah.
And the reason they've been dad shoes is because they were always comfortable. So now that fashion and comfort are both allowed, I'm not going to ever say no.
I have like 2 inches of plus of foam under my feet here on these Hokas.
Yeah, you can't say no.
Yeah, I like the 8s better than the 9s, to be honest. These are Bondies, but you just can't get the 8s. Like they only run like limited runs of them, and then you got to snatch them up then or whatever. I just bought 2 pairs this time. I just bought a gray pair and a black pair, and I just intending to not have to buy shoes for a while.
I got crazy segues already. Do we dive in?
Oh yeah. We should introduce our guest.
That was part of the segue.
Okay,
do it. So we got Dr. Pat. Is that what you go by?
I go by that, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Pat, member here at the gym for a while now.
Patrick Bell, no relation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has helped.
Important for our older audience, no relation.
Yeah, has helped many of our staff, really. Those are the reports I hear. Kyle and Jim in particular getting help from you. But first, we'll dive into education, and then we can dive into bullshit. The feet topic is a hot topic, and I feel like it's always been a hot topic, and it's gone back and forth. And we won't, I mean, you can slander whoever you want. I don't give a fuck, and I'll back you up. But there's a lot of dudes on the internet that are so anti-shoe, you know.
Yeah.
Anti-running shoe, anti-this, anti-that, and the argument for all of it, for me, is just hearsay, because everyone just says, like, well, our ancestors didn't have shoes. And I'm like, yeah, our ancestors didn't fly in airplanes, our ancestors didn't shower, and those doesn't mean they're bad, right?
Right.
So what is your take? And I think it's really prevalent to the hybrid athlete, which is like just the popular term of someone who gets off the couch and also likes to lift weights. But it's someone that, does maybe a little running.
Yeah.
I've made Mile Sunday a thing, so I try to run a mile every Sunday so I don't die.
Yeah.
And I do cardio during the week or whatever, but then obviously I'm a lifter.
Yeah.
So we're not lifting in these, Bosu ball shoes. But
try
so
not
like,
to.
That's what gyms are,
yeah. But
try
like
not to.
to stomp around during the day, am I going to die? Am I going to fuck up my feet? Or should I look for something flat? Because that's the argument, right? Like flat shoes 24/7 or toe shoes.
Yeah. Man, there's a lot of noise out there.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And it's confusing to sort through. I think the pendulum just swings back and forth. And honestly, I try not to overcomplicate it. I think it's contextual and based on like what you prefer, what feels good to you, and what your activities are, and what you've been used to wearing too. I think if you're used to wearing Hokas and you like can't even feel the ground beneath your feet in these shoes you've been wearing, and you just switch suddenly and only wear barefoot shoes, like, okay, you might have a little bit of backlash from your body there. I think, I like barefoot shoes. I like shoes like those. I think what I instruct most of my clients to look for is it comfortable? Does it give your foot room to breathe? Can you actually feel the ground? Can you articulate with the ground? Can you spread your toes? I honestly would just I'd keep it to those things.
Yeah, it's a good simple tip.
I
do feel like shoes have adjusted. Jim, probably more than me now, has a wide foot, but I've had a wide ass foot. My dad always had to get not custom, but the triple D's, and we're not talking titties or whatever, the E or whatever it is.
4E for me.
Yeah, my dad's something crazy like that too.
Yeah.
And mine's pretty fat. And so growing up, I played basketball, so I just wore basketball shoes, which was like cool at the time. Now basketball shoes aren't cool or whatever the kids are doing. But I wore Adidas a lot. because Adidas are the only thing that were slightly wide.
Yeah.
And I'm double socking because you're playing, 12 hours of basketball a day or whatever. Yeah. But I have seen recently, and I just couldn't fit Nikes. I just couldn't fit them. Yeah. But I feel like they have gotten slightly wider because I wear a decent amount of Nikes now, and I doubt my foot got less fat.
As fat as America is, I can't understand why the most common shoe width is D, like single D, and people have to like size up and wear clown shoes. Yeah. Like, I don't understand it.
I do think, and it literally fat. Like, I could tell when I'm like 220 and over, I'm like an 11 and a half shoe. And when I'm like 210 and under, I can fit like a 10 and a half, 11.
Interesting.
And so, like, let alone if you're, 3 bills, which isn't uncommon. Yeah. Like, that's definitely going to play a role in what the fuck your foot's doing.
Oh, yeah, because over time, isn't gravity going to spread your foot out? I mean,
unless it's being locked in by a nail shoe.
Yeah. Not to sound crazy racist, but wasn't that like that's like a Chinese thing, right? Like they'll shrink your foot, and
lotus foot.
Yeah. And they just like purposely block it in.
Yeah, because then you can only walk and you can't run.
Oh.
That being maybe the biggest part of it. You can't run away.
Is that on purpose?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. A little subjugation.
That's crazy. Issue. I'm doing that for my kids for sure. Get back here, you little shit. Little shit can't run away. Lock his ankles up. Flat feet's another one people talk a lot of shit on. And I have a 100% anecdotal experiment where my feet are flat as shit. And I've never twisted my ankle bad enough to miss a game in my life.
Yeah.
I swear it's a superpower.
You know what, man? I think that's another thing is like the demonization of flat feet or like high arches or whatever it is. I think like people's feet come in all kinds of different shapes and stuff.
Yeah.
What I look for is like, can your foot move? For you, like if you have flat feet, but you can actually pronate and supinate and get in the positions that you need to do what you're doing in the gym or in life, you're going to be great.
Yeah.
But if you could have high arches, you could have flat feet, but if you can't move, if your foot is locked up, then I think that's where people run into problems.
I think it's the same thing as the demonization of the butt wink. That's just how some people move.
Yeah.
Anteriorly rotated pelvises, that's a way that people are built. And it's like, there's some things that we cannot fix. Like, why concentrate on the way people actually move and the efficiency there, as opposed to like setting some ideal and trying to make everybody exactly the same.
Yeah, I don't know why that was a thing for so long. Like, everyone's squat form is supposed to look the same, but like women and men's femurs are going to be like 6 inches different. Like, of course it's going to look different. Or like, your back, or your hips, your hip angle in a squat changing so drastically, which people have slowly gotten over, at least in our world that kind of understand it. But to the outside world, now again, like training kind of like a gen pop. Like my client agent's into lifting and he understands what's going on a little bit, but the people watching him are just so clueless. And so I'm like rehearing myths that I thought were gone.
Yeah.
Crazy,
general or more specific, like stuff like that, like lifting making you slow and bulky, and like just like the most basic stuff. I'm like, man, we've come so far, but we have so far to go still in terms of like what the general U.S. has a clue about health and fitness. It's crazy.
I know. And I think it's a lot of the verbiage you see out there too. It's like, fix your anterior pelvic tilt. It's just like what you see circulated around, and then it gets implanted in people's minds that like, this is something that is wrong with me. Yeah. When most people are walking around with some sort of anterior pelvic tilt, and it's like a perfectly natural position. It's just like, can you access the opposite end of the spectrum?
Yeah.
It's all kind of the same.
I was so lucky to have a really good strength coach. Shout out to Dean Durham, who's basically Kyle's like godfather, and we didn't know that until I met Kyle 8 years ago. And my strength coach I've known since 7th grade, so like 25 years ago. And he just called it like power butt, because like every running back, because every running back's kind of like that. A lot of gymnasts are kind of like that, and I just was always kind of tilted like that. And he's like, yeah, man, like, does it hurt? I was like, sometimes my low back locks up. He's like, all right, we'll just like get it stronger, and as long as you're good. I'm like, all right. And then I was good, or if you went to some crazy dude who's stuck in books all day, they're trying to get you perfect, like chiropractor, not talk shit. A lot of chiros, they're trying to like crack my back straight. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. Like, I don't think it works that way,
Nah, man.
In case people didn't get it, Pat's a physical therapist, so.
Yeah. And shout out Jordan. Like, there's a lot of really good chiros that I'm friends with, but it's just as a whole, it's slim pickings of what they believe or not. I don't know if you know Jordan Shallow, Muscle Doc, but Jordan's one of, very well read, very, very well experienced, where he's actually coaching people in a lot of different modalities. So there are some good ones out there for sure. But and same with PTs, not to wreck your world. There's a lot of dudes that just won't have you lift, right?
Yeah.
Like, I got all these issues, or you're older or whatever, and they're just having you Basu ball all day, thinking that's going to fix an issue, or roll your foot on a golf ball all damn day trying to fix some issues, and that's obviously not going to fix shit either.
There's good and bad in both disciplines, and I think whether you're a chiro or PT, I think your role is to give someone the tools to do the things that they want to independently. And if you're creating dependence there and you're like, all I'm going to do is crack your back or like give you soft tissue work, and you just have to keep coming back to me, and you're not actually learning how to do this autonomously, then that's, I think, a disservice, and that's where I have a problem.
I should mention at this point that we have literally 3 physical therapists as members in the gym, and over the course of the gym we've had 5. We also have a urologist, which is
cock problems.
It's just interesting as well, but they're all jacked. And like, I think if you're looking for a physical therapist or a chiropractor or whatever, part of what you're looking for is like the walk the walk, and obviously you're looking for somebody who's intelligent and insightful and well educated and all that. But the walk thing is big. It's huge. And I mean, speaking of huge, your arms are huge. We should just talk about that now.
Yeah. What route did you go? Because even me growing up, I think you're a little bit younger than me. I think my sister wanted to be a PT, and everyone like I knew wanted to be a PT, but that was like, you're in a hospital dealing with people that like maybe broke a hip, or they're really old and they're just trying to figure it out. But as I got into the industry in like 2009 and met some people, even like the Starrettes and other people that were more performance based, you start to realize like, oh, they're much closer, or there's a section of them much closer to what I'm into, strength and conditioning or athletes or performance.
100%.
What was your first introduction, and maybe where did your career go? Like, why did you want to get into it? And then where did your career go in terms of that kind of clientele?
Yeah. I actually started off as an architecture major in college. No,
Fire.
PT wasn't even on the radar, man.
That was a backup for me.
Was it?
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
I love architecture.
Yeah. I got a lot of friends who are in the industry, and
that's tight.
Mad respect. But I did a year, and I was like, this isn't for me. I started lifting in high school because I was just puny and like didn't want to get destroyed in football. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind and heard about PT. Had a couple friends in kinesiology, so like, I'll give it a try. Started working at a clinic. Was like, okay, I could see myself doing this. So went to PT school. Still carried on the lifting, and then about like a year out of school, I was burnt out. Had done some travel therapy, insurance based like clinic work. And I was like, I just don't see this for myself. So like, let's dive into like the gym here. Like these are the people who I'm passionate about treating, because it's things that I've dealt with myself with injuries in the past. So started working with bodybuilders, power lifters, explored both of those realms myself, and now here we are. I'm working with pretty much only people who are lifting in some capacity and just trying to get back to where they want to be in the gym. So
and all of your practices online,
yeah. I have my own business up in Seattle where I was living up until I joined the gym, came down here end of last year. And I was working with bodybuilders and powerlifters and gym athletes in person. And then I got on with Dr. Susie Spurlock out of South Carolina, and we're purely online rehab and fitness coaching at this point. So, yeah, pretty much all online at this point, except for a couple in-person clients.
So if someone is in the position where they are participating in an activity, a physical activity, and they have some kind of thing that they're trying to resolve, an injury or some condition they were born with or whatever, like what should they be looking for in a practitioner, either online or in person? But online is more of a challenge, I think, because you can't like physically assess the person, and you don't know the dynamic is different, I guess.
Yeah, they all got ChatGPT right in their marketing scheme. All the marketing schemes are golden.
Oh my God! Just as an aside, my son was telling us the other day that he works in IT. He's a software engineer, and he said that they were in an interview panel the other day interviewing somebody for a job, and it was so clear that this person had ChatGPT on voice to text, and they were reading off the answers that they were.
No, it's getting weird.
Asked.
Wild,
Yeah, I was just
man.
talking to Kirby, one of our members, and she's like she's taking a couple classes for whatever in college, and she's like, the teachers are like more worried about if my essays like AI than like what I put in there. And I swear I read an article, I should have found it, where because you can like upload something, and it'll say like, oh, this is 97% chance
Right.
AI. I swear there was like a test someone threw in like Shakespeare or the Bible or something, and it like read really high AI, and we're like, all right, like
It's because that's the stuff that was fed in.
yeah, right. And
Yeah.
you're like, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's good causing issues for sure already.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. But in your world, it's going to help. Like
Yeah.
like a lot of diagnosis stuff people are chucking in there.
Mhm.
Even my world of like real estate and stuff, you just throw numbers at it and it analyzes them like a motherfucker, like so fast and so clean.
Yeah. I think it has a lot of utility. I think it still hasn't quite caught up
Yeah.
to what we're doing for
Yeah.
my job security.
Well, and the soft skills are always going to be there,
Yeah.
especially in health and human interaction. That's where I'm pretty confident in the fitness game too, and what you do. Like, because you can Google the answers for the last 20 years on how to fix my knee pain, but you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it correct, and you're not going to stay with it. So, like, what you do is, I think safe, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Same for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think it's the soft skills that set people, online and in-person coaches, apart. Like, it is this person who you're working with someone who listens to you, who adapts your program based on your needs, and not just giving you some cookie cutter bullshit, that anybody could give you or that you could get from ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think just having someone who listens to you, who like is consistently checking in with you. I think honestly that's what I enjoy about online or virtual coaching is when I was in the clinic, like you could maybe I see Bob once every 2 weeks and there's no communication between, and I'm giving him a handout, and he's I'm trusting him to do it for 2 weeks, and then he comes back in 2 weeks, and a lot could have changed without me being able to help him in between. And so like being able to actually communicate with people on a daily basis and update their program based on how they're feeling and give them advice and that kind of thing, I think is a big advantage with online coaching.
I think it's been probably 6, 7, 8 years since I worked with a physical therapist for anything before I started working with you. And I don't know, some of it is definitely that technology is in a different spot than it was then. Even then, I mean, stuff was available, but it wasn't like so commonly used. But like working with you has been great because like we have a conversation, you do an assessment, you show me some exercise stuff, and then you follow up and you give me a program and you give me all the videos that show how to do it correctly. And that, I mean, I got like Xeroxed pieces of paper before that I'm carrying around the gym trying to figure out how to stay up with it. And I am sometimes a terrible patient, and in the past have had a real challenge keeping up with exercises and like just being consistent about it, which has not been true this time at all. And I'm getting better, so go figure.
Yeah, that's what I don't think people understand on like the professional side of things, because coaching, PT, fitness has become such like an online business. So like maybe it's just my algorithm, but I think it's pretty prominent where like everyone's just trying to teach you how to scale to a 7-figure whatever, and that's everywhere. That's Sebastian's world. That's content creation. That's just like, and it's just like money goal. And not to sound like some, enlightened fuck that I am, but like you just won't make those 7 figures if you hate what you do.
Yeah.
And so like as a coach, as a whatever, not side tangent, but I talked to Chris, our barber, a long time ago, and this conversation stuck in my head. I think most high schools do it, but mine did a bunch of like personality tests and like what you're good at tests, and are you good with groups or big projects, small projects? And I never understood it because I'm 16, right? And then looking back, our barber, like, he didn't mean to sound so like smart, but he did. He's like, I get to see like a messy project and I fix like a good project every half hour, right? You come in with shitty hair, you leave looking good, and that feels good every half hour. I'm like, dude, that's like what's missing in what I need. Because like entrepreneurship is a 10-year game. Personal training, if you have a really good client, is a 2-year game to see some like real changes.
Yeah.
And so online coaching never felt good to me because like you're getting people that want the sugar pill to answer quick. You want the people that like take your program, hire you for 3 months, and then disappear and just run that program over and over. And I'm like, dude, like you just said, like the program isn't the sauce. Like I'm the sauce, like you need to be with me. And this is the truth. I'll take anyone's program. Like you could have an 8th grader write a workout program, and I'm going to coach that to someone better than the program is. Like the X's and O's, not that they don't matter, but you can build muscle with sets of 50 and we can build muscle with sets of 3. Like it matters much less than what I can like give you. And so it's cool that you have clients that like text you all the time or message you all the time, because that really is for you and them like the key to success. And even my new gig coach and agent, like they just feel so much better just like being on the road with them and like being able to actually make a change, which you obviously can't do with every client. The travel coach is a privilege. Yeah. It doesn't always happen for most folks, but it is the way to make shit happen. Yeah. It's the way, and he knew it. And that's why he's like, man, I got to lock in my health. Like business is going crazy. Like just like stay on my side. Then if you can get that in your pocket on a phone and both parties are there to problem solve, it can work for sure.
100%. The accountability piece.
Yeah.
And the communication too. I mean, I can predict pretty quickly off the bat working with someone like, are you going to be as successful as you could be based on how well you're communicating?
Well, that's what the client doesn't understand is like the communication, like they're spot one. Yeah. I'm not going to chase you down. I'm not going to text you every day. Agent, I do. I just send him a voicemail, but he's like my, he's like my little son at this point. But like everyone else, like, yeah, online coaching, I give him a program and then I don't hear somebody for 3 weeks. I'm like, that's on you, bro. Like I told you, hit me up with anything, send me the videos. I'm not going to chase you down, and that I guarantee we could find a correlation of success based on how often they message you with their pain, how often they message you about success towards whatever goal, strength goal, fitness goal. I guarantee it goes up exponentially if they just
100%.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. How do you deal with clients who are impatient about change?
Ooh, yeah.
Every human.
Everybody.
Everybody,
right, exactly.
yeah, everybody.
Myself included.
Especially pain.
Yeah.
Like everyone wants to get fit fast, but pain, like you want out that bitch. Yeah. And if you're a competitive person, you want back on the field, you want back on the court, you want back on the platform.
It's tough, man, because a lot of times, especially with a number of the clients I'm working with right now, there's a lot of chronic pain. Like they've been dealing with it for quite some time, and it's unreasonable to expect that like within 2 months of working with me, we're just going to completely reverse out of 8 years of back pain. So I think setting expectations and really communicating, which a lot of them already know deep down, like this is going to be a long game. Like it is going to take us a while. So let me show you the roadmap for how we're going to get there. Like this is where you are right now. This is the steps I anticipate us taking. Let's set some short-term goals and some short-term checkpoints to keep that motivation and keep you going long enough to actually see the results. And honestly, I think that's where like the program and the more holistic approach come in. Like even if maybe we're treating your back pain, but you're also trying to get your first pull up, like let's leverage that. Let's work on these other things to just like keep you in the game long enough to actually win the game.
100%. That's smart. I mean, that's why I got into powerlifting. Like I was personal training or whatever, strength conditioning, but like to have strength goals beside you trying to dunk or something like major that you may never hit or is just really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like if you say, all right, you deadlift 225, we get you to 275 in 3 months. Now we can hit that.
Yeah.
And then you actually have versus even physique goals. Why bodybuilding is so hard is like to get a 6-pack takes a year. You might not get there. To like build an inch on your bicep might take 5 years.
Yeah.
And then you got to measure it. Like, it's just like not in your face. Like it's not in your face, right? Yeah. Where like I see I'm adding more weight. I feel I'm adding more weight. It just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's true. And there's intellectual knowledge, and then there's like emotional knowledge. It's like the things that you can take it as a given that things are going to take a period of time. But damn if the emotional part of it isn't like anxious and frustrated with the amount of time that it's going to take. And there's like no way to not feel that. And all you can do is figure out, and with whoever you're working with, how to tamp it down and how to redirect it.
That's the toughest part, man. It's the emotional piece. And honestly, I would say even more than like pain being an enemy, it's fear for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like they've just, especially if you've been dealing with pain for a long time, like you become so fearful of certain movements or things that are triggers, that breaking down those barriers and like the emotional trigger that comes with that is really tough. And a lot of times it boils down to like reframing pain is like, hey, this is a signal from your body. Sometimes it's not always accurate. Like it doesn't always equal damage, right? Like maybe your nervous system is super revved up because you've been dealing with this for so long, and you know you're locked down and guarding, and your brain's just trying to protect you. But yeah, the emotional piece is key.
How do you deal with that side? Like I've dealt with it forever as a coach, because I coached basketball and obviously fitness for 17 years. Like hypochondria. Like obviously that's like a real diagnosis, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, man.
Because I was just telling you, I'm like, yo, like pain doesn't mean injury. You know, like my shit always hurts. You know, I'm about to be 37. Like my deadlifted for forever. Like my shit hurts, but injury, like we're calling a doc.
Yeah.
You know, and like if you never played physical sports growing up, which is common, you know, a lot of people are into the gym now who didn't really play sports and they're just finding their stuff. Or if you played, you know, a soft sport like Sebastian, you played baseball and you're not hitting dudes. You don't know what like pain is, you know, versus like, oh shit, like I need to sit down. My ankle is broken, you know?
Yeah.
How do you deal with some of that? Because I'm sure you're getting calls all the time, especially power lifters. No offense to all you softies. Like, you know, they'll tweak something or like, yeah, like I got muscle spasms every training block, you know, where my back's just angry at me because I'm deadlifting insane volume, but I know my back isn't broken, you know, but people don't know that.
Yeah. I think when there is a situation where there's a lot of fear and a lot of just like avoidance of a certain movement, like it's all about finding the entry point is what we call it. Like we're trying to get back to squatting. Like back squatting is super scary for you right now. Like what's the most progressed version of a regression of that you can tolerate right now that feels safe and you can see, okay, this is how I'm building towards that. And it's a lot of times it's just putting constraints on movement to just and like building volume there, building comfort there, adding load, adding range of motion, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And once they start to see that momentum and they get a couple repetitions, they get exposure to that movement, and they can see, oh, I am capable of doing this. Like my back's not going to break. Then it kind of, you know, generates that momentum.
Because like you said, the misinformation is just as big there. Like axial load's gonna, you know, the spine can only, you can only do 100 crunches in your lifetime before a disc flops. Oh my God, you're going to split a disc deadlifting. Like it's everywhere. And again, going back to like my most recent experience, like everyone's just throwing shit at you. Like deadlift's so bad for your back. Like we still believe in that. Like there's just no way or yeah, a little bit of rounding in that back. You better watch out. That disc is going to fly out. I'm like, dude, I don't think so. like I literally don't. I've probably coached 5,000 people on how to deadlift. You know, we used to do seminars in a weekend with hundreds of people. Yeah. And I think maybe once I had a person like kind of drop a bar and grab their back. Yeah. And even that was probably, an erector cramping or something, you know, because your back is scary. Like I've had some muscle spasms that lasted a month and like I couldn't shit for 3 days, you know, like, and I thought I was dying too. Like I've been there, you know, rolling out of bed like I'm 80 years old, like. But I also didn't go to the doctor because I knew I didn't break my back.
Yeah.
Well, the lower back pump is something that people are not used to when they start deadlifting. Absolutely. And so it suddenly becomes, oh my God, I've hurt myself. It's like, no, actually you haven't. If you stand around for a few minutes, it's going to go away. It's going to resolve.
I think I was lucky there. I used to get that just from running. Again, with like that anterior tilt and my like just muscle butt. Like I would always get a low back cramp running. Yeah. So I knew that pain from like 7th grade. And it is hurt, you know. Like we always just used to like no homo, just like knee on the ground. Like you just get on your knees and fucking that's the only way to relieve your low back pain.
Yeah. It's crazy. Going back to what you said about the misinformation, I think like words matter and people remember that stuff, you know, especially if they hear it from a provider, but even if they see it on Instagram, like, oh, deadlifting will blow up your back or whatever. I saw a guy in Seattle, chronic back pain for like 5 years. He was so scared to bend his spine because he'd been told by numerous providers, like, don't flex your spine, like don't lift in the X position, like you have to lift with this perfectly neutral spine. It's like, bro, there's no such thing as a neutral spine. Yeah. Like even when you think you're keeping that, there is some amount of flexion there.
Well, and that's why your back hurts is you haven't moved it in fucking 5 years, bro. Like,
exactly.
That thing's supposed to breathe a little bit.
I know. And so every time he'd try and go back into loading, he'd flare up because he had no capacity for anything outside of this one curated tension position. Yeah.
What do you think about, I mean, we're talking about basically paranoia and avoidance, whatever, the effect of imaging.
Yeah, man, that's a big one. I think I think a lot of like back. We'll just go with back pain.
Yeah.
Talking about that, it's
Easy
over
enough.
medicalized. You know, like imaging is over prescribed, and I think it can be really useful, right, to rule out like something truly sinister. You know, like a cauda equina or like something where you're like, okay, we need some medical intervention here.
Yeah.
But I mean, the prevalence of asymptomatic findings, like things that would be considered abnormal on an MRI or X-ray, is pretty common in people who don't have pain. Like I bet if you pulled up my MRI right now, you'd find some.
No, my
stuff,
discs
you
are
know, man?
everywhere, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
my discs are floating.
But the correlation there just isn't there, you know? And I think sometimes it can almost do more harm than good to see that, and then you're like, oh, I'm broken.
Yeah.
But it's just not the case.
Especially the back. Everyone's talking about sciatica and everyone's talking about discs.
Yeah.
You know, like every single time when you're mentioning deadlifting or low back pain, and you probably know the stat better than me, but isn't it like over the age of 40, like 50% of people are going to have a disc slip?
Oh, yeah. It's crazy, man. Every decade it goes up, and I think, but you know, by the time you're later in life, like most people are going to have something on an X-ray or
and like
MRI.
you said, it's probably asymptomatic. Like I know because I've had imaging, and I had like 2 discs gone in like my early 20s. You know, I just played hard basketball, and they don't really hurt.
Yeah.
Like I do get back pain, obviously, like every other human when you deadlift real heavy, but like day to day, my back feels great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I have two lumbar discs that are not happy. I have 2 cervical discs that are not happy, but that happened before I started powerlifting.
Right.
This is 20 plus years ago that I got that imaging, and yeah, I had those problems. But honestly, in the time that I've been powerlifting, the amount of time that my lower back has been any kind of a problem is just a small fraction compared to before.
Yeah.
Like just like an astonishing difference.
I mean, you look at Americans and they're literally probably working on their couch now, which is worse than a desk because they're working at home, right? Squishier, they're in a bad position, and they probably average, we could look it up, Sebas maybe even look it up, like the average American steps. I bet you it's below like 3K.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so like you wonder again why your back's hurting. Like the only thing that's ever fixed any of my back pain when I was like really powerlifting was like riding my bike and walking made all my pain go away.
Yeah. Just getting movement and just getting inputs to
like,
that.
You have no blood, no stimulus, no nothing. I'm sleeping in shit positions. You're sitting in shit positions. Like, if you do that 80% of your time, it's probably going to fucking hurt.
5,000.
I don't trust fucking
5,000 seems high.
That seems
but
high.
That seems high as shit because I know I'm lazy as shit and I get about 3,000. If I'm not trying, I'll get 3,000.
That actually brings up this is a side point, but it's worth throwing out there. It really makes me crazy when I see influencers or not influencers, people who are supposed to be, like theoretically knowledgeable or about whatever, saying, "Oh, you don't need cardio." It's like, yeah, you fucking do.
Yeah, good luck.
You need cardio. You need cardio because cardio helps your heart be healthy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
I don't care. It's not going to kill your gains.
That's just
I don't care.
getting worse because people are less experienced. They just regurgitate what they hear on the internet. Where back in the day, like the first 10 fitness YouTubers all like had coaching experience. Like Omar ran a company. Like obviously we coached our whole lives. Like even Scooby. I don't know if you guys remember. Shout out Scooby.
Scooby's popped back up.
Yeah,
lately,
he just
by
went
the way.
viral. Do you know Scooby? He's like now he's probably maybe 60, but he's like pretty fucking jacked. Always had like huge pecs and was always shirtless for some reason. He kind of looks like Bill Nye the Science Guy in the face.
He's like,
do you know Scooby?
No.
Scooby might have been the first, like before Omar and them. Yeah, I don't know why his face always looks like Bill Nye the Science Guy to me, but he's like jacked and he talks like really like kind of monotone or really like kind of like a therapist, like really sweet voice. But all those guys were like coaches, and so then they started putting their coaching on the internet. But now it's just like, how good looking are you? And then you're now a fitness, leader in the fitness area, which doesn't help all these rumors and things.
Yeah.
Your world too, right? Like all these random like wannabe trainers or whatever showing their 5 back stretches to never get injured or something. I'm like, well, I don't think that's going to help much.
The narratives are crazy, man.
That's Scooby.
That's
yeah, Scooby's so good. Yeah, I don't know why he just resurfaced. I think he was just had like a viral clip that just went crazy.
He kind of looks like Doucette.
He looks a little bit like Doucette in the face too.
Doucette.
Yeah, but I think Scooby's big. I think Scooby's like 6'2". Yeah, Scooby's a tank. I never met him. He's one of the few OGs I never met.
Yeah, never met him.
I don't think he's like a big expo guy or anything. Like most of those guys we met at the Arnold or something, he hasn't been around. He's kind of in his own
Have you done the expo thing?
I haven't. I do want to go though.
Which one would you go to if you were going to go to one?
Probably go to the Arnold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is cool, and the resurgence is pretty big.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the Olympia in a while. I might try to sneak to it this year.
Ooh.
Yeah, Olympia's cool. It's just closer to us too.
Yeah.
But the Arnold is pretty cool, man.
Olympia is October this year. I think so.
Yeah, it might be a
Yeah.
little bit later.
Yeah, I think that I actually was looking at it earlier because I thought about maybe it's been a long time since I've been to the Olympia, but the powerlifting is USPA, so
Yeah.
I'm less enthusiastic about
Yeah,
that.
it flops back and forth there. But then the USAPL, I think, still has the Arnold.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like fading too. Like it's all just, powerlifting's fucked. Powerlifting's fucked. But the bodybuilding's only getting bigger at the Olympia.
Yeah.
I remember last year, like, everyone was actually at the show. Where
Yeah.
when we ran the expo circuit, like the show, you pay attention. Like you want to see who won, but like everyone's buying tickets for the show now, which is crazy. It's just so popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, but I feel like since COVID, like bodybuilding competitively is more gen pop than ever.
Yeah. I mean, you got like C-Bum and
I think it's
Look
C-Bum.
and all these guys just driving it. Yeah.
I think it's C-Bum for sure. Because it got away from it, right? Like the average person can't even relate to Ronnie Coleman, can't even relate to Phil Heath, you know? But you see
level,
C-Bum, C-Bum's not that far off from like LeBron when he was his most jacked. He kind of looks like an athlete. You're like, all right, maybe I'll,
Sulek.
Yeah, Sam's insanely popular, although not relatable, right? Like he's so jacked for fucking being 20 or 19 or whatever the fuck he is.
That blows my mind, man.
Yeah, maybe 22.
Yeah.
Probably like 20, 21.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, he's jacked as shit. Where's he? Minnesota or some shit?
Bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah, I think middle of nowhere.
Nothing else to do.
Yeah, just get jacked as hell.
23.
Wow.
23.
Yeah. Did he actually turn pro this year?
I think he did, yeah.
I know it was like some of his first shows.
Because he won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's jacked.
That's just crazy. So what kind of goals you have outside of work?
Honestly, man, I'm a meathead at heart. I love lifting. I feel like I've just been sampling the buffet for the last couple of years. Like I got started with like a bodybuilding show, enjoyed that, dabbled a little bit in like half marathon, powerlifting, and I'm doing some strongman right now.
Oh, cool.
Just to try it out. Yeah.
A true
I'm not a big dude,
hybrid
but
athlete.
it makes me cringe a little bit.
Yeah. Are you gonna do a strongman competition? You think?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the one at Untamed in
Dope.
September.
Dope.
Yeah.
Ellen's a good dude, a good friend.
Super cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good place to go to.
Yeah. Be a good challenge.
Even talk about like popularity things. Strongman, I feel like not that popular. Although
No.
it was like going crazy for a second. And obviously, like Game of Thrones played a little role in it, and like Perfect Tide, right? Like when you have like the Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson, right? You have the Thor versus the Brian Shaw. Like it makes things a little bit more popular. And even this year, I think 2 new faces were on the podium.
Yeah, the winner this year, first time competitor at that
Yeah, I
level.
think there was probably like 6 guys that have never competed before at the World's Strongest Man that were in the competition
So
this year.
changing of the guard a little bit.
Yeah, which is like great, but not so great for popularity, right? You need those like tie-ins and you need those stories.
Yeah.
And I feel like powerlifting's kind of in that spot too. Like Russ wasn't at IPF Worlds. Like you just don't have some of the stories that people need to continue. Where, like we said, C-Bum, what do you have, 5-6 years straight?
Yeah. It was like every year you can expect to see his prep and stuff.
Plus he's putting out the content to make it popular.
Yeah.
And you kind of need that in every area for any real like motion in that, and we're just kind of missing it. I guess Gen Fitness is there, but then again, it's just like people being hot. Really though, like that's what like social media's turned into. They're more like models than, I don't even know what they call themselves, creators. Instagram model was a term people used to get offended by, but like that's literally what they all are.
It's kind of what it is, yeah.
Yeah, with very limited knowledge.
When I see somebody pop up in my feed that I do not follow, and they're clearly trying to be, or they are some kind of fitness influencer, I look at how many subs they have, and then who did they follow?
Yeah.
And that tells you a lot.
Yeah, if they know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it tells you a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, look, I love hot people too. Like, I'm not against it, but we snuck over to Alpha Land for a training sesh, and I hadn't been there in like 3 or 4 years. Shout out to Guzman. Like, one, he just upgrades his gym. He's got like 20 gyms now in one place.
Insane.
No, it's insane. I've been like 3 or 4 times, almost like every 2 years, and every year he just builds more shit. Now he's got like beach volleyball, got like 3 outdoor gyms, whatever. But every single person there is hot. Like, there's not an ugly person in the whole building. It's crazy. It's literally just hot people walking around. And shout out to them. They really do train there, too. Because you would think it would be like the Fitspo spot, and they're just doing bullshit. But people are getting after it. People are getting after it. Can't be mad at it.
That's what we're trying to be here.
Yeah, just hot people. Just start rejecting members that are ugly.
Just hot only.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
Hot screening.
Yeah, make it like a club. You got to be like a 7 out of 10 to get in here.
It is a little
chicks
bit
only.
It is a little bit like a club in a way, not like that, but it's in that, you know, we're a small gym, and so people do have to like cooperate with the program.
Yeah, socially.
Yeah, socially, and like, you know, we're not staffed 24/7, but we're available 24/7. So like opening and closing doors and all that kind of stuff to you know, turning fans on and off and all that stuff. People have to think, and not leaving their weights everywhere, although that's becoming more of a problem as we get more members, to be honest with you. I need to put up the signs that say, please put your fucking weights away.
Yeah, you're going to have to probably interact with folks here a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Excuse me. I was trying to think of a couple of other things that you and I talked about. I guess let's flip it around and say, what's the best way for somebody to be coachable by an online coach?
Yeah, what's the best client?
Yeah,
it's a good question. I mean, to beat a dead horse, like, the communication is key. I think, you know, being receptive to feedback. Like, I'm not just gonna tear into you. You know, I want to build you up. But communication, being open to feedback, and I think you have to, because I'm not in the room with you, like, the importance of like comments on exercise, like completing workouts, sending me videos, us doing live sessions over Zoom or whatnot, that becomes more important, just because if you're flying under the radar and like not sending anything, then it's like you could be doing anything, and I'll take no news as good news, you know? So
yeah, you think everyone's healthy and feeling great.
Right. And I think just being open-minded and being willing to have that long game mindset too. And I don't think it matters if it's fitness or PT. Like, you just need to be geared up to like put in some work, you know? And I feel like honestly, half of my job these days is just undoing all the other narratives and like quick fix stuff that people are hearing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just society, especially when it gets into medical. Like, I have a boo-boo, I go to doctor gives me Band-Aid or pill, and tomorrow I'm supposed to feel better, you know? And so like fitness, money, everything in our brains and our cultures told us that that's how it works, rather than like you reframe that like, I'm going to a PT and I should see them more as like a teacher. Like, all right, but I have to learn. So if this teacher can guide me, but I have to take these steps. You know, school's like the one where our culture, although our education system's fucked in many ways too, at least it's kind of set up that way. You know, it's going to take time. Right, a degree's 4 years, a big boy degrees, you know, 6 to 8. Like, you know, I'm going to have to do the work, and this teacher's going to show me how to get there, and when I'm done, I'll be somewhere. But when it comes to health or fitness, 10 days to get abs, you know, 3 small tips to get rid of back pain. And so you're just expecting me show up, you do job, I do nothing, and now I'm jacked and my back doesn't hurt. You know, which is just so backwards, because literally, obviously, nothing in the world works that way besides like the lottery, and that's obviously a big chance. But there's nothing you just show up and you just win, and you do nothing and get results, right? Like, inaction has never caused anything positive in the world. Yeah. You know? Yeah. But they expect it. It's like this learned passive. I don't even know if it's a word, like passiveness, you know? Like, it's just like, what can you do for me with the minimal amount of effort? Yeah, I hire you, fix me. Yeah. You know?
People are afraid to do something wrong, even if they don't know, even if there's no way for them to know that something is wrong. They're like, if I find out later that I took an approach that I shouldn't have taken, and even though there was no way I could know, there's like this whole guilt and shame and self-recrimination over continuing to feel fucked up somehow. That happens. Another thing that I was talking to our friend Jacob Ross last week about a particular issue that is in my mind right now, and that's the fact that I see it here all the time, that people don't like lift together the way that I saw, you know, years ago. people lift kind of as a team, and they keep their eyes on each other and all this stuff. And everybody's filming their lifts, but a lot of the time they want to be on their own bar so that they can shoot their own stuff, so they can feed it back to their coach. And it seems to me that there's still something to be gained by lifting around people who are experienced lifters and getting their feedback as well. This is just a pet peeve. I'm working through it right now, I guess is the best way to say it.
No, I think I feel like especially since COVID, there's just been like the people are just more isolated with their lifting in general too.
Yeah.
But I think there is something about just like the community and camaraderie and like getting feedback from other people that's huge. I was in Austin this past weekend for the Coach 'em Up conference, and it was just like
Was that the podcast guys?
Yeah.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, super cool dudes.
Yeah, they look cool. I never met them. Are they based out of Collective though?
They're out of C4 now.
I don't know C4 because I don't know Collective either. But I know the guy. Shout out to Hills, the guy who started Collective. He used to be at On It.
Yeah,
and I've known him for a while.
Oh, cool.
But Austin's become such a fitness hub.
Dude, it was crazy.
Yeah.
There was like an open gym one morning, and it was like, I mean, the place is nice. It's not like a massive gym though, and so it was like 100 to 150 coaches just like all crammed in one space.
Oh my goodness.
And it was like, I mean, it was just insane.
Yeah.
But like that like energy and like getting feedback from people who I'm like, most of these people probably know so much more than me.
Yeah.
But just even if they didn't though, just like getting that
something
like feedback. Exactly. Yeah.
That's about all I got.
Yeah. Yeah, the community thing's huge. I don't have any answers, but I think there's some magic there that's being missed. And some of it might be, again, maybe I'm just a hater, but I think it's a lot of people that just like didn't grow up playing sports because you're just not like used to that stuff. Like even, again, like relying on my recent experiences, like when I got a chance to get the whole team together, like we got the tech guy, we got the operations guy, and I just got them all in the gym together. And like probably our best workout yet because I got 6 dudes that work together. They literally live together basically 24/7, 365, and you get them all working out together. You know, it just changes. It changes the whole vibe. Like talk about team building and all that. Yeah. There's a reason why football teams train together. You know, there's a reason why basketball teams train together. And although powerlifting's an individual sport, there's just no way you don't get better with more like-minded around you. And obviously, if you're a member here, like you get like 20% of that being in the building, but you can literally take advantage of 100% of that by just saying like, yo, you want to work in?
Yeah.
You know, like you're just going to get so much more of it. Me and Sebas try to do it as much as we can when I'm here. And I tell that around the world. Like when we first opened the gym, I told all our employees like, yo, I'm training at noon every day. Like join me, you know. And as much as me and Kyle still train together as much as we can. Me and Sebas hit one conditioning piece for sure a week when I'm in town. Yeah, I think there's magic there for like not only your health, motivation, accountability, right? When I'm tired, Sebas is going to force me to show up, and vice versa. But then just how hard you work too. Like you don't have to be crazy competitive, but something's going to come out of you when you see someone next to you like giving up or going harder and you want to give up. And I think that's the main piece that maybe America and commercial gyms are missing.
Totally. Yeah, that's what I was saying last week. I don't think that there's anybody out there who couldn't benefit from lifting in a group at least some of the time and having all the extra eyes on them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's the rare outlier that can really be in their garage and be the best lifter of all time. You know, there's the Mike Tashir. Yeah, but if he had a choice, like he probably would want to be around a bunch of dope people. But you know, he was in the Air Force. He moved to Italy for 5 years. You know, I think he has kids. Like, obviously, has other, or even Bart. Like Bart's got kids and he's busy. But whenever I'm in town, he's trying to get me there at 5 a.m. to train with him in his backyard gym. You know. Yeah.
I don't like anybody enough to train with him at 5 a.m., but that's me.
I told him in the summer I can do, but like winters in Vegas are cold. It's not.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do it. I can't train outside in the ice.
Yeah.
It's too much.
I think we're seeing a little bit with like the resurgence of these run clubs.
Yeah, I do like it.
Which is cool.
All over the place currently.
And honestly, you guys have done a good job with that, with having like the community lifts after too.
Yeah.
Which I think is dope.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I just know you're more likely to enjoy the pain. Like no one wants to deadlift once a week for the next 10 years. You know, like it's not that fun in the moment. But if you have homies around or other people trying to enjoy it and make you better. And again, I grew up in team sports, so it's just what I'm used to. But like, it just makes everything so much more fun and easier. And you're going to end up working harder. So I think the more of that. And that's why CrossFit was so successful despite a lot of its flaws for so long. And you used to go to a CrossFit gym and everyone was in pretty good shape. You know, were they the strongest? No, maybe not. And you know, again, they had other flaws with injuries and coaching quality or whatever, but generally everyone was like getting better.
Yeah.
You know, and you go to a commercial gym and everyone's been there and you see the same dude there for 7 years and he literally hasn't changed, you know? And so like he's doing the same 3 sets of 5 on curls and yapping in between sets, and that's it. So the more you can find yourself around folks, do it.
And I don't think it's impossible to develop community in a commercial gym, but
No, it's possible, yeah.
But it's a whole lot easier in a smaller place like this where you recognize everybody, you know, at least most everybody.
Yeah. You're more
Every
likely
once in a
to
while
say
we
hi.
get a walk through and don't recognize somebody at all. It's either they're a new member or they're just training at a time of day that I'm normally not here.
Yeah.
What's maybe finish off with one more educational thing. What's like the most common problem you're dealing with when you're talking to like powerlifters, bodybuilders? I know you can't give like an easy fix for it, but like, yeah, what's the most common thing you see that's maybe a little bit of dysfunction or repetition or something causing pains?
Yeah, it's a great question. Maybe 2 things. One, I think is I like to break stuff down, just like the balance between stress and capacity. Like, is the amount of capacity that your body has right now, are you consistently exceeding that with the stress you're placing on it, both in and outside of the gym? The other piece I think is what I call like the gap in function. So for like powerlifters and bodybuilders, really, like, what are you not training that you're still doing in daily life? Like maybe for powerlifters it's like unilateral training or like plyos or something. Like all you're doing is like powerlifting and then you're going out and like, I don't know, snowboarding like crazy or something, and you're not like bridging that gap in the qualities of your tissues, and you know, maybe you're setting yourself up for something bad to happen there.
Yeah. I think both of those are huge because like I'm a big fan of like Eastern Bloc powerlifting type shit and weightlifting. That's kind of like where I use a lot of my methodologies, and I'm just a big fan of like learning from the past, you know, which has seemed to not be as common anymore.
Yeah.
But like every single weightlifter and powerlifter there is like warming up with plyos, then they're getting into their speed work, then they're getting into their strength work, and then, you know, maybe conditioning or whatever, depending on what they're doing. The other point you brought up of like capacity and whatever, I think is a huge topic that it's kind of like a hard realization for people, because powerlifting and bodybuilding is like a sport for everyone, right? Anyone can hop in, and which is beautiful.
Yeah.
But like not everyone's an athlete, right? So like you can't like handle the volume LeBron James is doing. That dude's working out 2 hours in the morning, then basketball 2 hours, then a game at night. And you're not a good athlete. So like you're not going to deadlift 650, you know? So you probably can't be doing the exact same amount of volume, the same, like you don't move your body well, or your body can't handle it. But a lot of online coaches or whatever coaches are feeding you the same program or the same volume everyone else is doing, and yeah, it's probably not going to end well.
Yeah.
Or if you're a construction worker, you're, you know, again, capacity, if you're working another job, even as a teacher and you're just stomping around campus all day and you're getting 20,000 steps, then you're trying to deadlift, you know, a 5x5 or whatever the crap. Yeah, it's probably not going to end well.
Yeah. It's like, it's usually like you're doing too much too soon and you're like underprepared for the demands, or like the construction worker example, like you're doing so much that the recovery is just not there.
Yeah.
You know, like you hit a certain point where it's like your cup's spilling over, you know. The coffee cup is how much stress you can recover from.
Yeah, and you're not sleeping, you're not eating, let alone the genetic part, which is, you know, something people, again, don't want to talk about, but like genetics rule all, man. Like you're not going to outwork it. You're not going to outsmart think it. Like sometimes you're just not made to deadlift 800, bro. Like you can still deadlift.
Yeah.
You can still get better.
Yeah.
But you're just not going to be on the level of what you're watching on Instagram.
Yeah.
For sure.
Plug away, bro. Where can people find you, your services, online, in person, whatever you got? Yeah,
I'm on Instagram at PTPatBell. If you want to work with me online, we're at moveyourbonespt.com. And I also do a little bit of in person, and my company is Iron Bloom Physical Therapy.
Cool.
Just ironbloompt.com.
Easy. Solid Mike, where y'all want to find me? New episodes Wednesday. What you got, Sebas?
Sebastian _Brambila on IG.
I am at the Jim McDonald on all the social media. This show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. 50% facts is a Spreaker Prime podcast in association with iHeartMedia on the Obscure Celebrity Network. And we'll talk to you next time.
Luca,
basketball guy?
Yeah, the guy at
He might have been at that talk. Yeah, Luca.